Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Sherry. Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, good. You guys have to forgive my scratchy throat. I have allergies and it affects my throat immediately as a Taurus, which is ruled by the throat. So if I get grovelly and scratchy, I'm really sorry, but there's nothing I can do.
Well, Wendy, so the energies have been very polarized, tense, kind of whacked out for the last 2 years, right?
Oh, yes.
So it appears that March 2022 isn't going to be too much different. Yes, no?
Well, it's going to get more intense before it gets better. Let's put it that way. I think
Well, so why don't you
May
tell
will
us what
taper
it
down.
looks like? Tell us what
Okay.
March looks like, and then if you can give us like any sense for why all this is still happening after 2 years and when we might start seeing some of the light at this very long tunnel.
Yes. Well, there are actually three clusters of planets right now with this new moon that happens tomorrow on the 2nd, um, that are very powerful and very unusual. These are not normal types of configurations. Doesn't happen very often. And so um, what we have right now with the new moon is, of course, the moon conjunct the sun, which is a new moon energy. And then those are conjunct Jupiter right now. And of course, Jupiter magnifies everything, but you can sometimes get too much of a good thing. And Jupiter and the moon and the sun in Pisces, we have to talk about what that means. And we're looking at delusion, we're looking at insanity, or we're looking at the opposite, which of course is spiritual awakening. So for those of you who are already conscious, working on your being awake, then those energies are going to affect you in a much more positive way than for someone who's just wallowing down in third dimensional reality and not awake or conscious at all about the truth of things. Okay.
So you're
Those
saying
people.
that it depends on what we're focusing on.
Mhm, mhm.
So be
And
careful where we put our focus. Yeah.
right, and degree of your consciousness, how
Mhm.
awake you are. And so it's a powerful new moon. Um, it makes everything bigger. Now, the other thing that's really positive about it, Pisces energy can be so compassionate and caring. And so I think hopefully it's going to bring that into the mix where we start being very cognizant of our neighbor, our other countries, and what's going on in the world and having great compassion for them.
Well, that would be a nice turn of events for sure.
Oh, yeah. But um, these are, Pisces is a diffusive energy. It softens the edges when you think of water dissolving things. So it can have a really positive aspect and help kind of dissolve the boundaries of our thinking, of what's going on in the world. We have our opinions. This is why I always like to tell people to stay neutral, is not get too involved or judge things, but sit back and just be neutral and observe and see what's happening. But the next cluster, so we have this cluster over here of the sun, the moon, and Jupiter. And then right here, we have Mercury conjunct Saturn at exactly 18 degrees. Now, this is very interesting. This is when illusion and delusion meets truth and facts. Okay. And
Huh.
Mercury in Saturn, Mercury conjunct Saturn has to do with seeing the truth, the facts, hardcore thinking. Okay. Hardcore messages. Remember, Mercury is considered the messenger of the gods. And so we're going to be getting more information about government, what's really truth about what's happening. In other words, the underbelly. And there are other things that accentuate that as well. But this is where, we have the facts and there are boundaries and rules and laws and treaties. And it brings a lot more truth into the situation than what we have had. Okay. So that's a very positive thing. But you have to understand too that Neptunian energy is opposite of Saturnian energy. And we're dealing with those opposites, like, okay, these two different energies, and hopefully in the world we'll be able to soften and have compassion for those people who were caught in the realm of war and contention and strife, that we'll have that compassion and soften our feelings for these people. Okay.
Especially the innocent
Oh,
people that are
yeah.
just sort of
Innocent.
caught there with no choice.
Yeah, it's really, really sad in this
Yeah.
day and age that this kind of action would take place, where war action would take place. But we know where it comes from. And I've been talking about this for a long time, about what these energies mean. Okay. And we cannot predict exactly when they're going to happen, or if they're going to happen. Now, we talked about war, and of course it's happened, but I believe we're getting a lot of help so that these things don't escalate into things like nuclear activity. Okay.
I think that was an interesting point that you just made, because you said we can't necessarily predict exact timing, which is something that I think is important for people to understand, because you had told me about the orb of influence, which is,
Yeah.
it could be within a specified period of time where these energies are coming in, moving out, but not necessarily predictive on an exact date.
Right. Yeah. We can't say, even though the energies on March 2nd are powerful energies, it might initiate more things, but we don't know if we're going to have like another big, huge bomb strike or whatever based on what these energies are. And we'll talk about that now. We have this other conglomerate. So we've got Neptune, Pisces moon, and then we've got the Saturn Mercury. And then over here, we have this powerful stellium that rarely ever, ever happens. I don't know if anybody's calculated when it happened before in Capricorn, but we have Venus and Mars and Pluto all at 27 degrees in Capricorn tomorrow.
Now, Venus and Mars are feminine,
Masculine. They're opposite, right? And Mars, of course, is strife and war and anger and fighting and conflict and all of that stuff. And Venus is peace and beauty and creativity and harmony. So we have these two battling each other, but the problem is they're right next to Pluto. Now, Pluto doesn't give anything about harmony and peace. Okay. Pluto's just there, bombastic, powerful energies. And it's not stable energy. Okay. And anytime that planets go and conjunct with Pluto, Pluto has different sides to it too. What you see, but then underneath what's really there, which is the dark, seamy underbelly, okay, of energies. And there's also an interesting thing there. There is a half square, 45 degrees, which creates anxiety with these energies. So it's a half square with the moon. So it is impacted. It does impact the moon as well. So lack of stability, and also this, and I'm going to go into them separately. Let's talk about these energies. First of all, have been building since January 12th, 2020. And look at all the things that have happened. Okay.
Makes sense.
And that was when Saturn was conjunct Pluto. Okay. And we started the war then, didn't we? Yep. That's when the COVID war started. Okay. And that was really hard. I mean, when we look at the effects of that, so many people have lost their jobs. People are still desperate, haven't been able to find things. They've lost their careers, their businesses. And So the war started back then. And so these energies have been building. And let's just talk about the Venus Pluto connection without even including Mars. And those are power struggles with values, intensely emotional attitudes about values and beliefs. And what have we experienced for 2 years? Right?
Polarization.
Polarization, over what we value and what we believe. And many people don't question, they just believe what they hear. And so these power struggles become ever more violent, ever more judgmental and harmful. So that's the Venus at part of that. But let's talk about the Mars part of that stellium. A stellium is when 3 or more planets are right next to each other. And in this case, they're right at the last or close to the last degrees of Capricorn and all in Capricorn. This is a dangerous time, even if we didn't have Venus involved. Mars conjunct Pluto is war. These are this dangerous, extreme, aggressive, explosive energies. Okay. And I've been telling people this for over 2 years. This is coming. Why? Pay attention. And every time these planets go over Pluto, more secrets are being revealed. So because of the fact too, that Pluto and Mars and Venus are all in Capricorn, what does Capricorn mean? Capricorn and Saturn are all about the big governmental structure, Saturnian structures, okay? Business, money, religion, governments, okay?
Education, yeah.
Yeah, all of these things right now are up for grabs because the systems that we have had in place for so long are dissolving, and they're dissolving right before our eyes. Okay.
And that's not necessarily a fearful thing. I mean, unless you look at it that way, correct? Because we could, from another perspective, look at it to say, hey, these things weren't working super well. Maybe they do need some shifts and changes. And we now have an opportunity to create what we want moving forward.
I think that one of the big issues is that we hold on to the traditional things, the way things have been. And this time period that we're in represents, letting go of all of those things and creating something new that is better.
And letting go can be difficult.
Yeah, it is. And people hold on to those structures. And the point is, now it's time, as we watch them dissolve. This isn't happening just as a coincidence. No, the planetary actions happen to help us evolve, to help us change. It's not arbitrary. It's like, okay, what are we going to do when these energies hit? And some people are sociopaths, psychopaths, and they don't care about other people. They just care about themselves. And we see that a lot in the world today with big business, and things like that are destructive to the individual. Okay. And so these Saturnian energies are powerful. They represent violence and war, as we're seeing. Now, I'm hoping that come May, that things will soften up a bit and Venus will have the ability at that point to, maybe we'll have a peace treaty. So much of the world is against what is happening that I really believe that the world's influence is going to help things. Okay.
Yeah, and it's funny this time because everybody's involved. Every country is involved. It's not just one or two. It's just affecting the entire world.
Right. Because it's so many of us have moved past this war paradigm. We don't want to be fighting wars anymore, but there's still so much money to be made by being in a war. Okay. In the United States, it's called the military induction. I lost the word. The military complex, industrial complex. That's what it is. They make so much money from war. that they're pushing for that
Hmm.
to line their pockets. In Ukraine right now, Ukraine is the most mineral rich country on earth. You don't think Putin knows that? There are a lot of reasons, money, resources, even back in World War II, so much of what was fought was for resources. Okay. But that isn't usually what they say that comes out, because they don't teach us to follow the money, right? We've learned that over time, why these things happen and why they're allowed to happen is it has to do with financial issues. Now, in these groups here, this group over here with Jupiter and the sun and the moon, Neptune is right over here, okay? And it won't be long before the moon is on top of Neptune, and where the sun conjuncts Neptune in a not too long a time. And then of course we have the Jupiter connection. So we have all of this Neptunian energy. And so at Jupiter and Neptune are coming together very quickly. And what this represents in the world is drugs, drug addiction, bazillions of drugs coming into our country with the open borders. And so many people, Pisces energy is the energy of addiction, okay? And it has to do with escapism. And we don't judge people for it. We know a lot of people are suffering and they're looking for ways to alleviate that suffering. But still, already we know that more people have died through this COVID experience from addiction and overdose than they have actually from the COVID. But nobody reports that either. See, so this Neptunian energy, and Neptune only goes into Pisces every 166 years. Okay, so we haven't ever experienced this before in our lifetime.
Right.
And then you add Jupiter to it.
And so how long is that going to be in?
It'll be in orb of influence. Jupiter moves fairly quickly, but then Jupiter will go retrograde. So there's going to be this orb of influence actually for quite some time. So you want to be careful about addiction, be careful about alcohol. And I know, and I understand it, how do we escape all of this? But, you need to go inside. The kingdom of heaven is here within you. And you need to go inside and stay balanced from your own soul rather than something that will steal from your soul, which is addictive substances. Okay, that's really important. And then the other thing that is, and will continue to be throughout the year based on the orb of influence, is Saturn Uranus, the Saturn Uranus square.
No, that's been going on for a while, right?
Yes, a couple years. And that energy is part of what is shaking and breaking up governments and everything that we see. Uranus hits that Saturn and just breaks it up, crumbles it. And a lot of it is quick and sudden changes. Repeatedly we see this changing and then this changing and then this changing. And that's the Saturn Uranus. Now, right now it's in a wide square of 9 degrees in the orb of influence. But because these are malefic planets, and especially Uranus, the orb of influence is further, it's greater. Okay, so we like to take that out to 15 degrees. And right now it's at 9 degrees separation. So these energies, and then Saturn's going to go retrograde again. And, it's just going to be back and forth throughout this year. And those energies are very, very powerful and are creating much of the chaos that people feel. It's amazing, if you just sit and focus in on what you're feeling, you can start identifying, okay, I feel chaotic, I feel fuzzy, I can't concentrate, I can't focus. That's also the Neptunian energies, lack of focus. I'm feeling sad because we're picking up on the deaths and the war. So we're feeling very sad. We're feeling sad about, the illness that's been going on and all of those things. And so what are we going to do, right?
Yeah, and
With all
I
of this
think too,
stuff.
like, and you can say those things because it's good to identify where you are within that space. I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, but then to turn around and then replace that with thoughts of, I just love sitting in nature.
Nature.
Visions of you in your head, like just the thought of riding horseback on the beach or walking out and seeing the Grand Canyon, just these bigger visions, or things like the touch of your child or your pet or something where you can sort of bring yourself back into those positive thoughts and saying, yes, that's what's going on, but I am feeling like there's so much more and so many beautiful things in life that we can do.
Yeah. No question about that. And, we have to live in this world.
Yeah.
And I love the adage that to live in the world, but not of the world. We do not lose our power, our personal power to what's going on in the world, and that's why we rise above it.
Yes, exactly.
And we don't get involved in the vitriol of it. Most important thing people can do right now is to own their power, their spiritual power. You're here because you chose to be here. You knew what was going to happen. You knew the evolutionary cycles before you even came here. And you were eager to come here and share your light.
I
And so
love
now's
that.
the time to really build that light up and shine it. That's going to help more than anything.
I love that. I love that. Just thinking about that and how much power we have and gaining your power back by just, again, like you're always kind of pulling in and touching your heart, but that's where we need to think from here, not up here. We just need to pull that energy down and to just really feel from the heart. It has so much more energy than brain power.
Right. Now, there are a lot of younger people who really don't understand all of this stuff. I mean, they're waking up and they're aware, but there are people that and even the older ones who are like so confused and they're angry and they have a lot of rage. And one of the things that can calm someone's rage and anger is just by putting a hand on the shoulder and say, I understand.
Interesting. I love that. That's beautiful.
But your powerful energy and light touching their shoulder or their back and just saying, I understand. And we should understand. We can't blame these people. Everybody's on their own path to enlightenment, and some are waking up faster than others. But these other people, it doesn't make them evil or bad. They just are confused. They do not understand. And by just touching them and letting them know that you understand, and let's find solutions together.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Better, rather than the anger and the vitriol and, oh, you stupid person, you believe this and you stupid, it doesn't solve anything.
Not at all.
But being compassionate and being kind and sending love, like send your love to Ukraine, meditate on it, do everything you can to send blessings to those people. These are horrible things, and they hurt the earth. They hurt the world, this kind of energy. And I do believe, and this is what I've heard, and I've heard it from more than one source, on the nuclear issue. And I know there have been nuclear threats by Putin, but it's my understanding that the spiritual powers that be will never allow that to happen. Now, I could be wrong. Go inside and see what you feel. But they have in the past interfered with the nuclear issue, and actually, what's the right word? Neutralized the bombs. There have been forces and energies that have gone in the past and neutralized it, because what we have to understand is the earth is alive. The cosmos is alive, and everything that happens here resonates throughout the universe. And people don't realize that. They think, oh, it's just us here, little. No. And the powers that be don't want that to happen because it affects the entire cosmos when things like that happen.
So you're saying every energy that we send out, and the more collective the difficult energies are, the more like angry Mother Earth sort of gets, I would say. And the more that we send out light and love, it sort of, it could diffuse
Help diffuse.
all of these intense energies. Even though they're there, it can help diffuse them by our own light.
Right. And apparently there has been some actual hands-on work to do that. Certain energies, certain spiritual energies have utilized their power and to stop it. So it's not, in other words, we don't anymore have free will to use nuclear power. That's been taken off the table. Interesting, huh? And
Right.
hoping that it's true. That's just what I've read and listened to and understand, that it's been taken off the table. So, and we want to continue to pray that nothing like that will ever happen again on this planet. It was a horrible thing we did with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Horrible what that did, not only here, but also in the cosmos. And that's why they'll never let it happen again.
Yeah. It's sort of like really thinking about the consequences of all of these things we're building and doing.
Mm-hmm.
And while some of them are for positive reasons, the other ones are so super negative.
That reminds me, there was something else I was going to talk to you about, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. Those Piscean energies, Neptune, have to do with fantasy. They have to do with alternate realities. And they have to do with this so-called metaverse that's coming out. Okay, where people, and I will tell you right now that this metaverse stuff, these alternate realities, are going to be far more addictive than just gaming. So don't think you're going to be able to just dabble. These people are so smart. They know how to get you addicted to.
So they know the psychology.
Exactly.
They study the psychology. They know it. They've mastered it. Yeah.
They know how to make you addicted to this stuff. And so don't think it's innocent. And it's the younger people that concern me a lot because they get involved in it and they get so addicted to it. Their whole lives are spent in this alternate reality. So we should be really fighting this stuff as parents, you know, and people out there wanting to do good. We need to be putting in the energy of light and love and freedom. And when you are in bondage to a game, you are not free.
No, and for me, I mean, this is just the way, what my opinion is, but being outside, staring at the stars, putting your feet in the sand, feeling the energy around you, that cannot be replicated.
No, and Lars Muehl says, if you want to get high, just breathe.
Yeah, it's the earth is so incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
Just so much to offer us, and music, playing music and just connecting with people and your children and connecting with animals. It's just, I think it's so much more powerful. You can never replicate feeling alive through a pair of glasses. Yeah.
We want our reality to be here now, not by putting on a false reality. We want our reality to be here and to connect with that reality. So that's just another part of this energetic influence that we're under right now. You know,
interesting.
Is that kind of, there was no accident that Facebook changed its name to Metaverse. Are you kidding?
Right.
None of this stuff is accidental. It's all very purposeful, and it's also very money driven. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that, the other thing I wanted to, if you're okay with this now, is to update some ascension symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we talked about that in the last video.
Right.
And we had heard back from even some of the people in the comments. And what did we say? Some people were experiencing a loss of balance, food issues and exhaustion. Those were some of the things in the comments. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we'll take just a minute here. So exhaustion is huge. And some people are more exhausted than others, but that's a part of the ascension symptoms. So don't think, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. No, it's just part of it. Vision changing more rapidly. I've had several people talk about that, and it's been happening to me. It's like, what? What? You know, crazy, crazy stuff. And then balance, loss of balance, that's happened to me as well. And when it happens and you hear that it's happening to other people, you go, oh, phew, it's not just because I'm getting older. And then one that's really interesting is food. Some people aren't hungry at all. They just plain don't want to eat. And the other thing is you're attracted to different foods. Like for me, I went through a period of time and I just didn't want anything but vegetables. You know, I wasn't attracted to meats at all, and just vegetables. And, you know, some people, of course, are vegan or vegetarian, and that's normal for them. It's not normal for me. And that's what you have to look at. What are you attracted to that just isn't normal?
Yeah, I'm experiencing that myself because I'm not wanting to eat much at all. I mean, I feel so full after I eat even the lightest meal, and definitely no heavy creams, heavy cheeses. Right now, that's where I'm at. It does not appeal to me at all.
But
So it's super interesting.
as our frequency is raising, things that might bring our frequency down are not appealing to us as much. And I've heard a lot more too about people not feeling connected to the physical world at all. This pulling up, just kind of like none of this stuff. I can't connect to any of it.
So that's a little bit more than feeling surreal,
Yeah.
right? It's a little bit more like disconnected.
Complete disconnect. Yeah. So, but those are the four things that have, or five things that I've heard a lot more about from people. And so it's good to be aware of it, you know.
Yeah, and if you're experiencing any of those symptoms, put them down in the comments because we like to share them on the next video. What kind of things you're experiencing that like just don't make any sense. There's no rhyme or reason for why you're experiencing them. There's no medical reason for why those symptoms are appearing.
Right. And stay out of fear. I mean, that's huge.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one because
It's a tough one.
remember, fear screams so loud. When it screams so loud, then we can't hear spirit. The voice of spirit is soft. It's a whisper. And when
that's why we quiet ourselves.
Right. You know, in meditation or whatever, just sit quietly. And then you can hear the whisperings of spirit. When you're in all this chaos and fear, you can't hear that.
Yeah, I've definitely made it a point at nighttime to do my prayers and just sit still and try to just listen. But man, the brain can just keep going and going and going until you finally just make it an effort to actually listen to the silence.
Right. Exactly. But do listen to silence, where silence can listen to silence. Love that phrase, where you hear.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the realm that we need to be in, and not in the delusion or the alternate realities or the anger and the vitriol. So yeah, that's what we want to do. So, you know, if you like the video, let us know, like it, and go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you have comments, I'm very interested in your comments, and I read them all. It's very helpful to me that you comment.
And you respond and reply to most of them as well. Yeah. Right. So March is going to be a little bit more triggered.
Yeah, this is what I see, that 2022 is going to keep like this. And then towards the end, it's going to start moving up in 23. But it's kind of like we're going to hit rock bottom, which is, you know, war energy, of course, to me is rock bottom energy. Right. But these energies that we're dealing with, And I did it in, talked about it in the video, you know, where the triggers are, where I did unanswered questions and trigger points. And those have to do with Mars. And we keep watching Mars as it goes. So Mars right now is, you know, conjunct Pluto. All the other planets have gone over Pluto. This is Venus and Mars are the last two. But then Mars is going to hit Saturn, and that's not going to be pretty.
That doesn't sound good.
Then Mars will hit Jupiter and Neptune. That's not going to be pretty. And then Mars is going to hit Uranus. That's not going to be pretty. So all through the year, Mars is going to be interacting with all of the other planets. And we already know what the energies are of it, right? And
Yes.
so you have Mars, a malefic planet that conjuncts another malefic planet, which is Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn. And, you know, it's going to be something that we have to integrate these energies and transmute them and recognize that they're going to keep moving on. We will have pockets of feeling okay. Like May will be one of those pockets, but then it's going to, you know, go down again. Then we'll have another pocket, and, you know, and thank goodness for the little pockets.
Yeah, just to get us some sanity for just a little bit.
Right.
Right. So we actually had a question. What I'm trying to do, Wendy, is we're getting questions in either email or people reaching us out on our Instagram and our Facebook pages that we have, which we'll put down below. But one of the things that someone asked, Riley from Pennsylvania wants to know, what are the ways to handle the energies coming into us? Can we do prayer or writing, etc.? And what are the signs in March of the March energies that are going to be affected the most? Which zodiac signs are going to be affected the most?
Oh, yeah, and that's a really good question. All of these planets are definitely affecting late degree Capricorns, okay? Aquarius. Saturn is at 18 degrees Aquarius. And then also Neptune, Pisces energies with Neptune.
So late
Pisces,
Capricorn, yeah.
late Capricorn,
Aquarius.
Aquarius, and Pisces energies. Yeah, they're the big ones that will be affected directly.
Huh.
And, you know, in terms of navigating it, it's what we've told you. You got to stay centered. You got to go into your heart. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is here. You got to connect to your heart, to your soul, okay, for peace,
Yes.
for faith,
I love that, Wendy. That's beautiful.
trust, and
Yeah.
pray to be able to stay in that realm of faith and trust and hope, you know, and to stay out of all of the vitriol. That's not where we want to be.
It isn't. And it's interesting because it's so much always has to do with where we put our focus.
Yeah.
Where are you deciding to put your focus and what are you going to do with that? So if you're going to focus on the negative and, you know, the person walking by you with an opposite value than you have, or coming across someone and you're sitting in judgment, you're not going to, that's what you're going to get back. If
Yeah.
you're focusing on the light, the love, and seeing someone that you might not agree with, but saying, you know, I'm going to bless them anyway.
Yeah. And you know, one of the great things people can do, and that it's turning spring with all of these crazy energies, is channel them into gardening. Start growing your own vegetables. You know, that is just getting your hands in the dirt is so healing.
It is very
Growing
much
little
so.
plants and seeing them come up and watching them every day. You know, that would be a great place to put your energies. Even if you live in an apartment building, so get some pots and put them out on a balcony or put them in a window. I grow tomatoes all year long in my windows on the inside. Yeah. So there are lots of things you can do with nature. Plus, there may be, with what's going on, food supply shortages. So this would be another good thing to be doing, to just grow your own vegetables. That would be marvelous for everybody to find.
Yes, definitely. Well, Wendy, as always, this was super enlightening. And we'll be continuing to provide these kind of videos over the next month. We're going to try to add one a week or every other week. And, you know, kind of Wendy's signature that I always like to say to end the videos is, remember, these are energies coming into you, not from you. So stay centered, and then we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks so much. Good to see you, Sherry.
You too, Wendy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.